when I am the way that I am now, with just trying to listen and being a shoulder for you to lean on, how does that affect your confidence? So I put the pressure on and I took the fun out of it for you.
I guess like you were so serious about it.
How would you have preferred me to react in moments like that?
I feel like those are the words I would have liked to hear it though.
There is one real way to really build a teenager's or a child's confidence.
Welcome to Parenting Untapped by Ali Talks. Join my father and I as we dive into the mind of a teenager and discover what it takes to build a strong, effective relationship with your teen. Welcome back to another episode of Parenting Untapped. I'm Ali, your host, and this is my father, Tony, your co-host. Today we're going to be talking about confidence, how it's built, how it's broken down, and how our parents can play a big role in shaping that.
This topic is going to be a big reflection for me. I think this is probably one of those areas where, looking back, I probably felt that I could have done a lot better in a lot of instances. One that comes to mind, which your mom actually always reminds me of my failures, is growing up, we put you in a lot of different sports. Um, and being an athlete myself growing up, the way that I was taught was very tough love. And I remember those early years, and mind you, I was really young when we had you. So I was in my late 20s. So when we put you in soccer and basketball, I remember basketball, when you lost a game, you were crying. And instead of being a comforting father, I decided to be a tough father and was like, don't cry. If you're gonna cry, then you're not meant for this. Just quit already. Soccer was the same thing. I think it annoyed me a lot, when you were younger, and when things didn't go your way, I kind of wanted you to just learn to push through it, and do something about it.
Right.
But I think the way that I approached things was a little immature. And looking back, I think, we'll never know, right? I think those are the two instances that you gave up on, soccer and basketball. And I think it had a lot to do with me and the way that I approached it. Um, so man, this episode, I'm going to be catching a lot of heat on it. So let's start there, right? I don't know if you remember those times that I just mentioned right now, but how did that make you feel? Really?
Yeah, honestly, I look back and it kind of sucks. I see all these people at my school doing sports and I'm like competitively, and I'm just like, wow, I missed that. Like, what could have been if I stayed in soccer and basketball? Like, because of my height, I probably wouldn't have stuck with basketball. But I really like soccer, and sometimes I think about like going back, is it too late? Um, but it definitely sucks that I guess you didn't push me to keep going to it, and it felt like I was in it for like a year or two, and I didn't stick through it.
Yeah, I know. Kind of sucks, right? I mean, looking back at it, it's like, obviously now I know, right? Especially having a girl too, right? I should have been a little bit more softer. I should have been a lot more comforting in those times where it was tough for you. I mean, you know how grandma was, man. Growing up, she was tough on us. She didn't like complaining. She didn't like crying. She didn't like any of that. So a little bit of that kind of rubbed off on me. And then, being in sports growing up too, um, I kind of built that persona or that personality where it's like, you got to toughen up. That's part of sports. You get hurt, you move on, right? You can't really, let that be your excuse for why you couldn't perform or whatnot. And I guess, at the age of 5, 6, I don't, looking back, I shouldn't have done that, right? And it tears me up, because I think there are times where your mom still kind of reminds me, like, oh, you remember that time or we're looking at family photos, and, you know, it's funny because she's like, "Oh, she could have been the daughter that you always wanted. You wanted sports kids and you ruined it." What? I don't, I'm just saying that's what I had thought in my mind when we had you was I was gonna teach you all the sports and make you, super athletic and, kind of follow my footsteps. Because I enjoyed, being, a star basketball player in high school and it just didn't turn out that way. And I think a lot of it has to do with me and kind of sucks. I
It
wish
does.
I wish I can take that back. And I think I'm making some progress of changing my ways now. But tell me a little bit more about it. Like you must have been confused at that time, right? Like how I reacted. Like what did it feel like?
I mean, there's a lot of factors to it. Like, we were always traveling for business trips, which is also why, like, it wasn't completely on you. But I do remember, like, there was like so many instances in soccer. Like, I remember you were watching from behind, and and then even if like it wasn't like win or lose, like right, it was just like you had an open. Why didn't you go there earlier? Blah blah. There was so much pressure to like kind of be on that, I guess. And I felt like as a kid, it was just like more so for fun and growing up. And I felt that need to be great. And I guess like
So I put the pressure on and I took the fun out of it for you.
yeah, and I guess like you were so serious about it. You were always like, just quit. Like your stomach hurts, your foot hurts. Like you're like, just quit. Like
Do you think that if I was different, you might have continued or and do you think that affects your confidence in any way?
oh, for sure. I mean, I definitely think I would have still been doing it. I find soccer very fun. But I'm like busy now, so it's like really hard to get back into it, especially since so many people like start at a young age. Um, but for my confidence, I'm not sure if that affected my confidence. I mean, maybe my ability to be able to do things, to push through. But I feel like I've done a lot of other things that allowed me to grow my confidence in other ways.
Yeah, knowing, looking back, I know what I would do now, but, what would you have liked, in situations? Because at that time, you know, I didn't even check if it's true or not, right? Because it was just, when I saw that it was after a bad game or, a losing game, you always said, "Oh, my stomach hurt. That's why you lost the game." I felt it was like an excuse. So that's why I was like, but how would you have preferred me to react in moments like that?
I think it could have been conveyed a little bit better, like kind of explaining that and also kind of like allowing me to push through, but I guess like in the way you reacted, it didn't I didn't feel encouraged to. I felt like you also didn't think like I was good enough and you were just like, "Yeah, just quit." Like it wasn't going anywhere.
Nah, I was just being a hothead, right? I don't think it was it. I knew it was so early, and I know that to be good at something, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. And you have to work through those things, right? And eventually, you'll always improve, right? There's no such thing as doing something and then being still in that moment.
No, right.
But I was literally was just trying to get that point across. Like, hey, even though it's like I didn't care about losing the game or whatever it was just the fact that okay, keep your head up high. Get back on practicing. In the next game, you do. You get another shot to
I feel
prove
like those
yourself
were
again.
are the words I would have liked to hear though.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think I was pretty young.
I think you understood that, but I think you like conveyed the message wrong.
Sure. Your mom doesn't let me live without reminding me of all those things. So I am definitely doing things now, supporting you with a lot of the things that you're doing a little bit better.
I think even like in running, right? Like I used to be a baby about running. Um, and like I would always like my stomach hurts. I can't run because we always had that like, oh, you have to run a mile or 3 miles like a day. And I was like, oh, my stomach hurts today. Like I can't do that. I mean, sometimes it would be excuses, right? But you're always like, okay, or like, oh, my foot hurts or whatever. You're like, no, you're doing it. And I felt like it was more encouraging that way. Because you were always like, you'll do it with me.
Yeah, I remember that was like for what is that? It's for the run thing in your middle school, right? I think that's when it started.
Girls on the Run and the 5K run,
Girls
yeah.
on the Run when I was doing that with you, and I think when we were training for that, yeah, I do remember there was a lot of times where your mom was like, "Oh, if her stomach's hurt, don't push her."
Right.
I think I did not reacted the way, when you were younger, but I still was a little bit stern, right? I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll let you stop, and then we'll just do it again," and then I was doing it with you as well as a competition, and I think that kind of pushed you to continue and work through it, and then I think now your mom is like looking back, and she's like, "Oh, so actually, you are kind of right in a way when." She says her stomach hurts, but then she can get over it, right? And I think now, in a way, through that situation, I think you have grown as a runner in a way where you could run without pain or whatever it may be.
Yeah, even if there's pain, like, I can still run.
That's interesting in a way, right? It's just a little tweak in the way that you approach, you know, teaching your child to, fight through or grow from whatever it is that they're going through. But definitely pushing them and to quit was definitely a bad situation there.
But I think, like, through the years as I grew up, like, you got a little better at it each time, like, in each activity. Like, DECA recently, like, I didn't place, to where I would wanted to, and I was feeling really down, and you said a lot of encouraging things. You sent me verses from the Bible, and then I felt like you were really there for me, and it was, like, very comforting to have that, and it kept me, like, to keep going.
I mean, I don't claim to be perfect, right? I mean, it's the same thing like I, try to instill in you is it's okay to make mistakes. You just gotta be able to confront your mistake, accept it, and move forward and find a way to improve yourself. And now every chance that I get to relive situations like that, I do try to remember like, hey, she's a girl, B, she's your daughter. Yeah, so it's like you just gotta be patient. Um, and I think it through the years it taught me a lot too is no matter what you feel, don't and I teach you this all the time, no matter what you feel, don't let your emotion pretty much dictate what you say or do. Right? So, when I was younger, it was emotion. Emotion was, oh, you're lying. Oh, you're not. You're making excuses. And then I would just blurt things out.
Yeah.
Um, and now it's like, sometimes I just realize that, hey, you know what? It's your way of probably crying out for help or, needing support. And as a father, I just got to find a way to connect with you and then find the right moment for that teaching, right? And I think DECA was one of those moments where I, you know, broke my heart, because I saw how much work you put into it. And you kind of broke down a little bit, and
It was so embarrassing. I was at the conference, there were so many people going in and out, and I was just, like, standing there crying, like, it was so loud. I was, like, in tears. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna cry right now. Thinking about the situation is so sad, and, oh my gosh,
I know I'm
I'm gonna
I'm I'm
cry.
feeling a little touchy on this episode too, because I'm like, my brain is like, oh shoot, man, you kind of screwed up.
I know.
But I mean, there's some good things, right? I mean, I think with your boxing lately, I think early on there was a little toughness to that. There's been a lot of moments that I felt like I was able to redeem myself, and I'm glad that I was able to come back from it a little bit. Are we about to cry right now, or what? What the hell is going?
Sorry, yeah, I'm like every time I think about DECA, it's just so sad for me. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, continue. Like I really appreciate like the effort of you being there for me. Like I feel like that kind of like almost ruined my confidence, but then like even so, like you were always there for me. We did activities to get through that, like boxing, like you do boxing with me, as a way to bond, and I felt like it was really encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, my thing was, what I mean, it's just, when you were struggling with boxing early on, I think it was just me saying, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do it with her. And it's kind of fun. I mean, I've done boxing growing up too, so it's kind of like, but then I was going through the beginning steps and all of that with you, and I think that gave you the courage to keep at it. Speech and debate was another one, where
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
countless, hours of just listening you rehearse, going over and giving you feedbacks. And there were times where there was a little bit of that, it was a little bit of you just being annoyed, whatever the results may be, you kind of want to throw in the towel. And I think by being with you and just kind of encouraging you, not even really, trying too much of making a difference, like saying, oh, do this, right?
I think the main thing was, like, you were there for me, like, after every round, he could've went home, but he stayed with me, um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember sleeping in the car mid between.
I was like, "No, stay with me." He would walk me to, like, the classrooms where we would have to present, and I felt like I really love that, and then when I was disappointed after every round, you were there, you were giving me encouraging words before the next round, and I felt like speech and debate was, like, the type of thing where it's, like, makes or breaks your confidence, like, it builds your confidence, but at the same time, like, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious that there is one real way to really build a teenager's or a child confidence is just sometimes being there, right? And with men, I think this is probably the toughest, right? Because, women are usually nurturers and men are fixers, and, I get beat up by your mom all the time about this because sometimes it's like, I feel like
Like, you always come with solutions.
I try to come up with a solution, and sometimes that's not exactly what you guys are needing. Um, you know, what you guys need is just somebody to listen to, right? So I mean, it's tricky, being a man and thinking that there's only that way that you got to go about it. So when I am the way that I am now, with just trying to listen and being a shoulder for you to lean on, how does that affect your confidence? Do you feel that you're able to achieve more?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Like, it really cheers me up. That's so weird. It really cheers me up when you, like, send me texts. Like, you sent remember after DECA, right? I was in my back in my dorm, like, I had to leave. You sent me this essay. I cried. Yeah. I literally cried. And then I think my friend saw him I was rooming with, and I was like they were like, "That's so sweet." And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, I was a little disappointed about it. But it was really nice to hear those words. You even sent me, like, motivational words. But I think, like, that really helped, and I feel like that was, like I guess, like, when you got out of, like, that whole, stage of, like, "Okay, like, quit, like, this is not helping, this is not working," and, like, I guess you kind of, like you listen more.
And I, at the end of the day, if I've always tried to raise you to believe that, you know, the only time you failed is if you quit, right? If you keep going and you keep working, you keep moving towards the target, eventually it's gonna pay off. So, I hope that, through all of the different things that we've done, and how I've kind of treated it allowed you to keep on moving forward, right? Every time you put it one foot forward, you start seeing that your confidence start building, you start getting a little bit better results. Sometimes it's not gonna happen all at once, right? I mean, we wish, right? We wish the formula is that easy as you put in the effort and magic happens. But sometimes, I think God also tests you, right? I think, I tell you the verse from the Bible is sometimes God don't give things easily, right? It's His way of testing us, and there's a specific verse in the Bible that it says that he tests you because he knows that you can handle it, right? And it's setting up for something bigger and greater. And for me as a parent now, I just know that you just got to get your kids through that hump, right? You just got to find a way. Like, you don't got to correct anything. You just got to be there with them for them to feel comfortable and have the strength to move forward. And that's kind of been my way now. And every time I'm involved in it, I just got to remind myself, like, hey, you know what? you know, truly there's nothing to be fixed because I'm sure if it is, you would try to fix it yourself already anyway.
Right.
So it's about being encouraging, and being there, right? So I mean, tough episode for me because it's such a big reflection, of
Well,
and my growth, right? Seeing my growth as a parent through the years. I'm glad that you're saying that I haven't completely broken your confidence, but if you had to say that's the one thing, when parents are trying to encourage their kid, that's the one. Is there anything else that you think, that we could do as parents to continue to build your confidence?
I mean, I really like how we have this thing where we always breathe and reflect. I think reflecting is really important, and we reflected together, and I think that was really helpful. Like being able to talk about it without pointing fingers to you didn't do enough. I saw you were up doing this, like, but like and I felt like it wasn't like about pointing fingers or anything. It was more about like we were just sitting there reflecting like what we did, like what could have been better, like and like how I can move on from this. And plus, like you really made me realize like DECA is like not everything. Like it's a business competition where it's just like in school. And I guess that also really motivated me to do like other things in my life. Um and I feel like I guess like I needed to hear those words to realize that your confidence can't depend on just like winning in a competition. And I feel like that it almost did, and I feel like being able to, like, get that mindset back of, like, realizing, it's sometimes it's just not all your fault, like, it was, like, based off, like, parent judges' decisions, and I feel like understanding that and realizing that it's not like you didn't put in the work and you didn't do anything to win, but it's more so the fact that sometimes it's just luck, and you just gotta keep giving it your best to get the best result.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like confidence is not even actually from the success, really. I mean, your confidence is built through the failures and what you do with that failure.
I think it's also, like, about the process.
Yeah. I mean, and you being able to reflect on what you did and finding ways that you can improve yourself. Um, so yeah, I mean, so would you say that, there are any other things that are more important? Is it a teaching, right? Is there a teaching that you should teach your kid on how to build up their confidence rather than, just being there for them, if you had to say?
I mean, in a way, it is a teaching that taught both of us, like, whether it was through our movies that we watched, like, I know we watch a lot of inspirational type movies, like, even though we don't really see it, in the back of our mind, it's there, like, we realize that. We just I guess we don't realize it until we experience it, and I feel like those movies that we watch, right, that also kind of like helped in with the encouragement, the being there. I feel like that was a whole process that we found for ourselves that worked for us, and it allowed us to grow.
So would you say that, a child or a teenager's confidence is highly tied to how their parents are or what you do with your parents? Or is it more external with your friends and your environment? It's a
Hmm,
loaded question, I know.
it's kind of both. Like, okay, it could be a little bit both. Honestly, some of my confidence does kind of come from like my peers as well and what's happening at school. But I feel like most of it comes from your childhood experiences and how you guys react to certain things.
Mm, interesting.
But I guess like the way we reacted when I was younger, it made me, I guess, less confident in myself and more insecure at school. I think that plays a big role in how you are perceived by others at school.
So I'm just curious. I mean, I don't wanna go back and think of the negative things, but I'm just curious, like, what was your mindset when I told you to quit basketball or when I told you to quit soccer? Because, you know,
I don't
do you
remember
remember? I mean, I know you were super young.
I don't remember basketball too much. I just remember I lost my first game. And it was really bad. I think you told me just quit. You're not fit. Oh, that rhymes. Yeah, no, I think it was more so soccer. I remember you get so like mad after every single game that we had. Not even an actual game, like maybe practice ones, right? I remember car rides. It was
It was,
yelling.
but after that, did it make you want to go back at all, or you're like, no, screw this, I'm done. I don't want to do this if this is the way my dad is gonna react every single time.
Not right after. I mean, I feel like you were very involved in like the sports, so that was your thing. But when I did my own activities at school, like you weren't so hovering over that. I was allowed to fail on my own, win on my own. I feel like you were there just as a guiding support for me if I
That
needed to.
sucks though. From being a person who played sport, I would imagine that I would be able to be a better uh guidance, when it comes to that. But man, evidently I suck.
No, I mean,
Like I get so riled up, and I don't know if it was a little bit of, during those time too. I remember when you were, 5, 6 years old. I mean, I was really in the thick of building my, very first business actually. And I tried to be a good parent and be involved, but maybe I just didn't have the patience, at that time. So, all those little, all those little things just triggered me. Yeah, I don't know why. Because I'm, looking back, I mean, kind of silly that I'm over upset at a 5-year-old because she doesn't kick the ball in a goal or something like that. You know. I guess that's it. I mean, this episode, I mean, it was pretty raw. I mean, the advice is, pretty common sense, really. I think most parents probably get that one right. I don't know why I didn't. But, to sum up and recap a little bit, sometimes it's not about fixing the solution. Sometimes it's just being there and showing them, that us as parents, we care, and we're willing to accept whatever the outcome is, but we're going to be there for them. That generally, will push them forward and build their confidence and let them understand that, it's a normal process of life to fall short, and it's okay, like, because we all do, right? And,
of course.
I fell short hundreds of times. And I guess it wouldn't feel good if somebody told me to just quit after I fell short, right? But yeah, so the one takeaway from this particular episode is literally, yeah, don't get angry, just be there. Do you have any last thing to add?
Honestly, sending the motivational quotes, I love those. Even sometimes you make me put them on my wallpaper.
I know I'm a little bit much with the motivational stuff. You guys are gonna learn that about me, as these episodes continue to roll. Is that I'm big on it because that's how I function. And I try to, push that on Alyssa as much as possible. But yeah, that's it. So we'll wrap this up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys have any topics that you guys want us to, discuss about, put it in the comment, because Alyssa's gonna keep picking these topics right here. That's gonna put me in a bad spot. So, all right, till next time.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for tuning into Parenting Untapped. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss the next one. Want to gain even more valuable insights into understanding and connecting with your teens? Then head on over to parentinguntapped.com and subscribe to our email list for exclusive updates. Until next time, see you later.